after working as a truck driver for 20 years, in his late 50s, my grandfather got a job selling life insurance. He was proud both because it marked the first time in his life that he had to wear a suit to work, and because he just really believed in the whole philosophy of life insurance. Being ready for the worst, but hoping for the best, which in this case was just the worst plus money. Even still, I think he saw the world as equally beautiful and chaotic. He was open to whatever came, but he was also prepared for it. As a result, he was the happiest guy I knew. He was working well into his 70s, and on days when I had off from school but my mother had to work, he'd take me with him from Queens to his office in Bay Ridge in his old Buick. An experience all its own. The car was a sun-worn maroon, with the exception of one door panel he had replaced, which was gray. It had torn cloth seats and a felt ceiling that drooped so low it like literally sat on your head. Boxes of work papers and fast food containers filled the back seat, and he kept receipts and business cards, hundreds of them, lumped together with rubber bands in the driver's side visor, like the whole mess dangling just a hair above his eyes as he drove. Every inch of the car was cluttered, even the ashtray where he kept a bottle of Old Spice on top of a mound of loose change. And since he drove 8 million miles an hour crisscrossing lanes on the Belt Parkway, it left the two of us in the eye of this like tornado of junk just whipping around the car. But once, something unexpected happened. He pulled the car over onto the side of the highway and got out. I didn't know what was going on or what I was supposed to do, but he came around to my side, he swung open the door, and he shouted, "Come on, Shrimpy." So I did. We walked a couple of paces, and he stopped, and he pointed up to the nothing above a giant chain link fence. And I looked in that direction, too, and then back at him, and then we waited, the two of us staring up into the sky. After what seemed like forever, I saw this tiny yellow thing come hurtling toward us. It landed on the grass and bounced. It was only then that I started looking around, my eyes growing wider with disbelief. There were tennis balls everywhere. It was like a minefield of tennis balls. And in like a wink, my grandfather dropped down onto his hands and his knees, stretched out his shirt, and started scooping them up. And I did the same, and then I followed him back to the car. And he threw open the trunk, and in there were 100 other used tennis balls. And we dumped ours on the top, and then we got back in the car. And at this point, I was so excited because he was so excited, and he was so excited because he just let me in on like the secret tennis ball free-for-all, you know? It's like we alone were reaping the rewards of some park department architect's era, you know? A grave miscalculation of how high a given tennis ball hit at such and such miles an hour could go with the wind gusts in some such directions. I mean, I'm sure they had some intricate mathematical formula for all of it, but obviously it was faulty because the fence was just too short to keep the balls in. And their underestimation was to our great benefit. To this day, I have no idea when or how my grandfather figured out that there were all these tennis balls on this particular shoulder of the highway. And it's not that he, nor I, nor anyone we knew played tennis. But should that ever change, we'd be prepared.